Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, I want to hop back on today, and today we're going to talk about how to be completely debt free without having to hit a lottery, win the inheritance. Um, Obviously, those things are great, but um, that's not realistic for most of us, and most of us have to put in some sweat equity in order to become debt free. So, let's jump into it. I'm going to real quick before we jump into it. I want to share it real quick on one of my other pages in my group. So, give me 1 second. I'm going to um, do that real quick. All right, so here we go. Sharing it now into the group, and then I'm going to put it on one of my pages real quick. So give me 1 second. All right, perfect. So we are live. Okay, so today we're gonna get if you watched the live stream from yesterday, go back and watch that. I talked about some 3 steps you can do to become debt free in 2019. And today we're gonna dive a little bit deeper, and it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's some things that you need to do if you want to get your debt paid off. And again, like these are the same strategies and tips that I use when I was going through my debt free journey back in 2017. So if you're watching the replay, this would be a good time to go grab a pen and paper. We'll just go through some simple numbers and numbers that I'm going to have you write down. So um, today, like I said, it's going to get a little uncomfortable, but today this is the first step. What I tell people, one of the first steps I tell people to do once they make that decision to start paying off their debt, and you basically have to be real with yourself and be real with where you're at financially. And this is usually the most uncomfortable part for people to realize that and get uncomfortable with where they're at in their debt and just taking a look at it. So, first thing you want to do is like, we got to go through, we got to strip down everything, we got to go peel back everything and just get a clear picture of really and be honestly like where you're at right now. And, first thing you have to do is like, how much money is in your bank account right now? How much money you owe on credit cards, how much money you owe on student loans, how much money you owe on any personal loans or bills. If you have any cars, basically list out all your expenses, all the money you have right now, your income, and all the expenses. And obviously, if there's anything else that you have right now, go ahead and list that out. And the reason I say this, in order for you to begin, in order for you to get where you want to be, you have to actually look at those numbers. So, if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you go through, take a minute, write these numbers down. You can pause the video now, write them down, and then once you go find that and write everything down, I just want you to look at them and take a look at those numbers and just take a second and embrace it, and just be aware of how do you feel after you look at those numbers. And if you ask yourself the question, if I keep going this way, um am I going in the right direction, and will I feel the same a year from now if I did the same exercise? um if you don't like the answer, then don't worry, because I'm going to I'm doing a masterclass next Thursday, January 17th. And I'll drop a link here in the comments where I'm going to walk you guys with what to do next, like how to get a plan, how to know, where to start in your debt journey, how to get started, how to get a plan that works, that you can stick to and that you can be consistent with. Because I can tell you, like when I did this exercise and when I really did it and got true with myself, like it was not a good feeling at first. And, I had to really look at, where I was at and just be honest with where I was at currently. But the next thing I had to do is I took some time and I started to think. This is where, it gets a little bit better, where you want to, visualize and think about what would your ideal life look like starting to ask those questions. Because we all know, what we focus on grows. And, if you're focusing on reaching a certain target or focusing on reaching a certain goal, you're definitely going to get there and it's going to expand. Because once I started putting all of my focus, like for the year 2017 when I paid off my debt, like I had one goal and one focus that year, and that was to become debt free. And it was amazing. I put all my focus and all my energy onto that goal, and things started happening. Like I started, one, I started paying off debt. Two, my income started increasing. I started getting opportunities. More and more opportunities came to me. It was a huge year of growth of not only paying off my debt, but it also was a huge year in growth, just personally, financially, and professionally as well, just because of all that focus and all my energy going towards paying off my debt. And that was my single focus. There was no other things and no other goals interrupting me. I wasn't sidetracked by anything, and I was able to become debt free. So yeah, think about, what would your ideal life look like a year from now, and write down like a realistic goal of what you feel that you can hit and that you can accomplish for yourself within the next 12 months. And like I said, like if you're really committed, you can do it, and, take advantage of the opportunity, and, just visualize like what would life look like if you actually wrote the goal down, you committed to it, and you committed to making that change. And the last thing I want you to do is, a year from now, are you willing to sacrifice right now? So you're not, a year from now, you're not going back through the same exercise, or you're in this same position. Especially, I know after the holidays, like it's really, this is a really hard time for people, especially if you haven't done the things that you needed to up until this point. Especially at the end of 2018, especially around the holidays, like a lot of people they don't manage their money right. They don't, budget for things, or they don't have things planned for the holidays. And then you tell yourself that, hey, like this year I'm not going to buy gifts, or I'm only going to buy gifts for certain people. And then you end up in the same situation again every year, where you spent too much because, you've given in into the holiday rush. You didn't have a plan. You buy one thing and all of a sudden it just goes out of control. And next thing you know, January comes and you have all this debt and all these credit card payments that you have to pay. That's coming up because you didn't budget or plan ahead of at the beginning of the year. So, let's start this year off right. Let's make sure that we, get you on the right track and get you on the right path. So I'm going to be back on here again tomorrow, and I'll have some more tips and stuff for you guys. But anyway, I'm going to be doing these leading up into the webinar next Thursday. Like I said, the webinar is going to be, I'm basically going to walk you guys through the exact process of how I went from $70,000 in debt to zero in 12 months. So I will drop a link in the comment. And if you guys are watching on the replays, please feel free to, share like what your goals are and like what you visualize the next year being. Like what's your dream outcome, and what's your outcome for this year in order to be debt free. And I will see you all on the next video. Take care.